Hi, my name is Lord Augustus, God of the Real Hoodoo. Today we're talking about the tenfold witness, Juju Juice, the healing infrastructure and system audit in one herbal formula. This video documents the creation, purpose, and spiritual assignment of Lord Augustus' tenfold witness, Juju Juice, a legacy herbal formula combining 9 powdered herbs with water to activate breakthrough, healing, and covenantal clarity. Each herb is a witness, and water is the tent, the silent infrastructure that extracts, carries, and confirms. In this video, you will learn the physical and metaphysical role of each herb, how this formula bypasses system royalties and formats divine payment, why water must be counted as the tenth voice, how to use this juju juice or tea as a curriculum, timestamp declaration and remnant activation. And this is not just a tea, it's infrastructure, it's not just healing, it's audit, and every sip is a ledger entry, every act is a witness. And the thing I want to always do when I start talking about these things, I want to always point you back to the Word of God, which is the Bible. And we're going to be looking at Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 16, verse 12, where it says, "For it was neither herb nor mollifying plaster that restored them to health, but thy word, O Lord, which healeth all things." And we know from the scripture that the word is the seed. So it's basically the instruction. And then when you go down to verse 26 of that same chapter, that thy children, O Lord, whom thou lovest, might know that it is not the growing of fruits that nourishes man, but that it is thy word which preserveth them that put their trust in thee. And then the way that you make all these things come together and work, you're going to go to Ecclesiasticus in the Apocrypha, chapter 38, verses 1 through 15, and then all of these things will come together. And you're looking at it from a physiological extraction and synergy standpoint. Each herb contributes distinct phytochemicals, and when combined, the water acts as a solvent, drawing out minerals, alkaloids, mucilage, and other active compounds. Then you have a synergistic interaction occurs. Some herbs enhance the bioavailability or absorption of others. And then you're going to have your sequential targeting. You can take the sarsaparilla and burdock, which is two of the herbs we're going to use in this formula. They're for blood purification and liver support. Then we're gonna have the black walnut hub is for antifungal and anti-parasitic. We have Irish moss and kelp, which is more of like your seaweed, and it's gonna pretty much give your body most of the minerals that you need in your body. So you have mineral replenishment and also thyroid support. And then the dandelion and red clover is for detoxification and your lymphatic drainage. And then we're going to use chickweed and coriander, and they're for inflammation, modulation, and your digestive aid. And this isn't just additive, it's multiplicative, where the whole blend may activate deeper cleansing, nourishment, and cellular recalibration. And like I tell everybody, when you start taking herbs and formulas and stuff and put them into your body, each and every person's body is different. So, you know, go and do your research. I'll go seek out, some professional, a doctor that knows more about these things before you just start taking herbs and combining it into your body. I'm basically coming here showing you a formula that I myself have been using for years. I haven't been to a doctor for any medical reasons for over 41 years. And this is my opportunity to share this with you. I've shared it with others and it's worked for them. You know, I'm not telling you this is what you should do. I'm telling you this is what I have done. But do your own research and so forth. And then also from a symbolic and legacy activation, you're giving your stewardship tens. This tea becomes more than a beverage. Combining it equal to covenantal formatting. You're not just mixing herbs. You're formatting a declaration of healing, clarity, and resistance. Daily or every other day rhythm is equal to timestamp engagement. Each sip is a ledger entry, a witness to breakthrough. And herbs as an ancestral infrastructure, many of these plants were used by elders for purification, protection, and restoration. So you're not just drinking tea or juice, you're activating remnant memory. And then from a system audit and curriculum standpoint, the tea also functions as a quiet audit. It's like a system bypass. You're extracting divine payment directly from creation, not waiting on system royalty. You're looking at it from suppression, documentation. If symptoms shift, clarity increases, or resistance surfaces, it becomes curriculum. It's evidence of what the system tried to hide. And then you have multiplication without monetization, see? You're multiplying provision freely, refusing to commodify what was meant to restore. So that's on the high level. And basically, when you start fixing these herbs together, first you're going to start with your water. The way I do it, you don't have to do it in this particular order, but this is the way I do it. As you can see here, I got a nice bottle, a jug, whatever you want to call it, that I had used from another drink that I had bought, and that's what I always do, because in Hoodoo it's all about reusing that which you already have. And then I'm gonna use approximately 3+ bottles of this here spring water here. You can use whatever type of water you want, but it's probably better to use like some purified water or some spring water, a water that maybe you have from a well and so forth. And this water I'm using here is Biozarka. You know, I don't have no affiliation or anything with it, but it's just a water I've been drinking for a while, and that's what I'm using here today. So you basically have your bottle here, your jug, you just pour that water in there. And normally what I do is I take and I start off by putting 2 bottles of that water in there. And what you see before me, I'm gonna be using mostly powders. I mean, you don't have to do it this way. You could probably, if you had the different herbs and stuff, you can make it into a tea out the stove. But like I said, I grow some of these herbs, but I had been buying them from this one company for a while, and they last a long time. So I say, why mess up a good thing? And then the next thing that you're gonna need is nothing but like a 1/4 of a teaspoon for each one of these herbs. And you're gonna add it to this water. So the first herb we're gonna use is called sarsaparilla. And we're gonna take and put 1/4 of a teaspoon of this powder into this water. Bear with me here. So there, I have 1/4 of a teaspoon of sarsaparilla root powder. I just put that in the water. And that sarsaparilla root, from a physical standpoint, is a blood purifier, a hormone modulator, anti-inflammatory, often used for skin conditions and rheumatism. And then from a metaphysical standpoint, what that sarsaparilla gonna do is gonna extract hidden toxins, spiritual and systemic, and it acts as a truth serum for the body, revealing suppressed patterns and initiating covenantal cleansing. So that's what that particular herb is for. This next herb that we're gonna put in, this is your burdock root, and I'm gonna put a fourth of a teaspoon of that also into this mixture. And there you can see, and we just put it in there. And like I said, is you don't have to add them in the exact um, alignment that I'm using, but this is the way I have it. And what the burdock root, from a physical level, it's a liver detoxifier, a lymphatic mover, a skin healer, and it clears metabolic waste and supports digestion. From the metaphysical standpoint, it grounds chaos. Burdock is Jupiter coded, and we know that Jupiter is the planet of expansion. So it's expansive, oily, and stabilizing. It formats clarity in the midst of confusion, and it anchors prophetic infrastructure. So that's the one we're going to put there. Our next ingredient that we're going to add to this here is going to be your black walnut hub. And as you can see, most of these herbs that I'm using come from this company by the name of herbco.com. I have no affiliation with them, but I have been using them for many years, and while I'm growing my own, I continue to use it because my whole thing is, why mess a good thing up if it's already working? So you put 1/4 of a teaspoon of that black walnut powder into that. And the black walnut hub, from a physical standpoint, is antifungal, anti-parasitic. It's a digestive cleanser, and what it does is target internal invaders and microbial imbalance. From a metaphysical standpoint, it's going to execute judgment. It separates what belongs from what must be cast out. Spirituality, spiritually, emotionally, and systemically, a tool of remnant enforcement. And the next one that I want to use is your dandelion root. And the dandelion root, you pretty much find it all over the place. See if I can find it here. And that'll be your dandelion root that you're going to use. And again, we're going to just use 1/4 of a teaspoon of this, and we're going to add it to this mixture. And what the dandelion root is doing from a physical standpoint, it's a diuretic, a liver tonic, a digestive stimulant. And what it does is it clears stagnation and supports bile flow. From a metaphysical standpoint, it unlocks suppressed inheritance. Dandelion is the key to forgotten legacies. Bitterness turned to breakthrough. It formats access. So that's why we use that dandelion. The next herb that we want to use is the chickweed, and you can see it's kind of blotted out there, but had this here for many years because a little bit goes a long way, and that is your chickweed. And again, on this particular herb, we're gonna put 1/4 of a teaspoon into this mixture. And like I always tell you, when you add herbs and stuff together, you know, do your research. And if you can't do your own research, seek out some professional guidance and so forth, because each and every person's body is different. And even though these are the herbs I'm using, you might find that there's another herb that's better for you. But what the chickweed is doing from a physical standpoint, it's an anti-inflammatory, it's a lymphatic cleanser, and then it's a skin soother. On the metaphysical side, it softens resistance. Chickweed is gentle but relentless. It infiltrates hardened systems and teaches the remnant how to move through silence. So that's that particular herb that we have for this ingredient. And then the next one we want to talk about is the red clover. You see the red clover growing all over the place down here in the South. Used to be a lot on the highways, but the red clover attracted deer. You still see it on some highways, but the deers eat these. A lot of people use it in their for their deer plots. So, but you also have it's two. You have a white clover, but I use the red clover because really they've been using red clover for a long time in dealing with things like cancer and so forth. One of the first herbs they were probably using. So here we're gonna put 1/4 of a teaspoon of that into the mixture. And like I said, I'm using the powder form, but you could take all these herbs and make it into a tea just like I'm doing. But I've just used the powder form. I've been doing this for years and I found out it works real good for me. And the red clover, from a physical standpoint, it's a blood purifier, a hormone balancer, a lymphatic mover. And then from the metaphysical side of things, it reconciles timelines. Red clover bridges ancestral healing with present clarity. It formats generational restoration, and it multiplies provision. So if you're looking for abundance and so forth like that, that's what it's saying there. And then our next ingredient that we're going to use is this here coriander. And you can see I've had this for a long time. Like I said, the way I use them, these herbs, they last a long time. Um, me, I'm a drinker. Like this bottle of jug I'm making right here, I drink this here whole jug. I love tea, so I'll drink 3 or 4 of these jugs per week like this here, because I just love tea and I don't really like my tea sweet, so I would pretty much drink it just like this. But someone else might want to add honey or something to it, but I'm not a person that really into a bunch of sweet teas and stuff. So I can drink it just like this is once that powder get inside the water and it dissolves itself. So that's the coriander. And what the coriander is doing from a physical standpoint, it's a digestive aid. It's an anti-inflammatory. It's a heavy metal detoxifier. And then from the metaphysical standpoint, it clears hidden residue. Coriander extracts what was buried emotionally, spiritually, and systemically. It is described of forgotten toxins. So that's what you're doing on those particular herbs. And then what we're going to do now, if I can find my top that I had for that particular herb, and put it on there. What I do, I'm going to shake all these up. And you're probably wondering, well, why did you shake those up? Because so far we added 8 ingredients. All those ingredients that I just put there, they dissolve real well in water. The next two ingredients that I'm going to put in, which is going to be the Irish moss and the kelp, what some people call bladderwrack. They have to kind of take their time to break down in water. They're more like a gel. So the next ingredient that we're going to put in now that we have that is going to be this here Irish sea moss that I put in. Like I said, I've been taking all these things for many years and they work for me. And like I said, I'm not telling you what you should do, but I'm giving you ideas on how you can go about healing yourself. I myself, I haven't been to a doctor for any what I call serious medical treatment or anything like that in over 41 years. I'm 61 years of age now. And the time that I went to the doctor, I basically went there to have my teeth cleaned and serviced. So here, this is your Irish moss. And you want to take this Irish moss because it's going to turn like a gel. You got to be a little slow in putting it in there. Because if you put it in there, you might be waiting a little while for it to break down. So I kind of spread it in there. And what I like about the Irish moss, because in the Bible it tell you to add salt to all your offerings before God. Well, the Irish moss and the kelp coming from the sea, it already has that salt in it. But with the Irish moss, the kelp, and the burdock, you're going to get most of the minerals that you need in your body. And then like with the dandelion root, you got your B12. So you're going to have pretty much everything you need for healing inside your body. So there we put the Irish moss in there. And then our last ingredient that we're going to put in is going to be this here kelp powder, or you can use bladderwrack. And again, we're going to put 1/4 of a teaspoon of this item into the juice or tea, whatever you want to call it. I call it the juju juice. Juju just means hoodoo. And then you're just going to take that, and again, you're going to kind of put that in there real slow if you can. Sometimes it don't get in that way. And you do that because you want to make sure that it get into that water the way you want it to get in there. And then all you got to do, get it mixed in there. And then that went real well because it's all in there pretty good. And then what you're going to take and do now, you're going to add more water into it until you get this here little jug filled up. This jug that I'm pouring all the water and the ingredients into it, it's about 59 ounces. And like I said, I drink this here every other day also with that other 7-seal formula that I told you about. I put those things in my body. And what I like about it is you have a lot of energy throughout the day and you don't find yourself being tired. And like I said, I don't know of any sicknesses that I have. And even during the time of COVID-19, I really wasn't wearing a mask or anything like that. If I went into the establishments, I had to honor the people at those establishments, and I would wear a mask or whatever. But as far as at home, I walked around. People was in there. All other people was in there walking around. We didn't have no mask on, and we never got affected. So there you have it. You have all the ingredients in there, And then you can let that sit and shake it up like that and let it sit for about you want to really dilute it, you where the Irish moss and the bladder rack are kept, what you want to call it. You can let it sit there for maybe an hour or so, and it all get in there. Because like right there, if you look at it, you can see where, I don't know if you can see that, but right there on the edge right there, you can see where some of that bladder rack and some of that Irish moss is still up there. It hasn't totally dissolved, but that's what you have. And that's, like I said, this is what I've been using for years. And like I said, is if you really look at it, it's basically a liquid salad. A lot of people could probably take these same herbs and put it in a salad, but this is one of my ways of putting a salad and getting all the ingredients into my body. And like I said, this is something that I've been using for years. I'm not telling you that's what you're supposed to do. I'm telling you what I have done in the past. It works for me, and it probably could work for you. I've given this recipe to others. They've used it. It worked for them. And it's my opportunity to share something with the rest of the world. And this blend isn't just medicinal. It's a prophetic formula. Each herb, a witness. Each sip, a declaration. And I thank you for listening. And I want you to know to have a blessed day or night wherever you are. And always remember that it's not the herbs alone that are doing the healing. Yes, just like everything in the universe, everything has virtues inside of it. But in order to get those uh, virtues to activate themselves so they can work on your behalf, it's basically the spirit that you carry inside of you. And in my case, it's the spirit of the Lord, because I focus on using the Holy Bible. That's what makes this stuff work. But again, thank you for listening, and you have a very blessed day.